Hello. Today we're going to talk about reflexive pronouns and how to use them. We'll also talk about the common mistakes that some native speakers make, so you avoid them. Well, reflexive pronouns, there are 9 in English. Myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself. These are the singular reflexive pronouns. Ourselves, yourselves, and themselves are the plural reflexive pronouns. We use them when the subject and the object of a sentence are the same. We can use them if the object is a direct object or an indirect object, as long as it's the same as the subject. Let's look at the direct object first of all. For example, John taught Sam to play the piano. Who did John teach? He taught Sam. Sam is the direct object. But if John taught John to play the piano, perhaps he just tried and figured it out himself, we can't really repeat the subject. So we say John taught himself to play the piano. So himself replaces John. It is the same as the subject. Another example, Paulina decided to treat Anna to a donut. Who did she decide to treat? She decided to treat Anna. Anna is the direct object of the verb treat. Paulina is the subject. Now, if Paulina decided that she wanted a donut as well, can we say Paulina decided to treat Paulina to a donut? No. So we say Paulina decided to treat herself to a donut. Okay. Moving on to the indirect object. For example, Tom bought a box of chocolates for Sarah. What did he buy? He bought a box of chocolates. A box of chocolates is the direct object. Sarah is the indirect object. For whom did he buy the chocolates? But if he decided that he wanted a box of chocolates, we can't say Tom bought a box of chocolates for Tom. That doesn't sound right. So instead, we say Tom bought a box of chocolates for himself. So he is the indirect object. The box of chocolates is the direct object. Because we've got 2 objects here, one direct, one indirect, we can actually change the word order without the preposition. For example, Tom bought Sarah a box of chocolates. What did Tom buy? A box of chocolates. That's the direct object. Who for? Sarah. Sarah is the indirect object. If he decided that he wanted the chocolates, we would have Tom bought himself a box of chocolates. So again, a box of chocolates is the direct object. Himself is the indirect object. Who did he buy them for? For himself. We can use reflexive pronouns as an intensive pronoun as well. So that means when we emphasize the subject, when we stress the subject of the sentence. If we take away the reflexive pronoun from a sentence like that, the meaning doesn't really change much. Let's look at an example. Lily made her dinner herself. So herself shows us that nobody helped her. We can say Lily made her dinner, and the meaning is pretty much the same. By adding herself, it just stresses that nobody helped her. For example, Justin closed the restaurant himself. So himself tells us he didn't ask an employee to do it, he did it himself. If we remove the reflexive pronoun, Justin closed the restaurant, the meaning doesn't change much. There are some common mistakes that native speakers make with reflexive pronouns. Sometimes people use a reflexive pronoun as the subject of a sentence, which you can't do. Sometimes people use a reflexive pronoun as the object of the sentence, but there's a different subject. Again, we can't do that because we use a reflexive pronoun when the object and the subject are the same. This is quite common, especially in the business world, because people think it's more formal. It's not formal. It's just plain wrong. So I hope you won't make that mistake. Let's look at a couple of examples. Paul and myself will lead the session. No, we can't say myself will lead the session. Is it correct if we forget about Paul, if it's only me? Can we say myself will lead the session? We can't. We say I will lead the session. So if we add Paul, Paul and I will lead the session. How about this example? Please send the form to myself by the end of the week. Because you are the subject. I am the indirect object. The direct object is the form. We have a different subject to the object, so we can't use a reflexive pronoun. Here, the object pronoun is me. Please send the form to me by the end of the week. Hope that's helped you. Thank you for watching.